There we go. There we go. We are good to go. That's much better. Is everyone here? Can you see us? I have no idea if I'm live or not. Are we live? Are we good? We're good. Cool, cool, cool. Don't know where the chat box is right now. It should come up any moment now. There we go. We're live. Apologies there, guys. Bit of tech issues. It was something to do with the stream key. It was a duplicated stream key for another stream that I had set up. So yeah, it went live on that stream and not this one. So that we're all good now, though. We're all good now. Plenty of time before obviously the session gets underway, which we now have the live data for, so I can get everything all set up, tickety boo. So let's have a look. Oh, I just realised I'm quite underprepared with my my stream setup, my transition there. So bit of an awkward one, this, isn't it? Look at it. Look, we're gonna have to move things around. We're gonna have to move you guys over here so that we can make this larger, because this is just really awkward, isn't it? So where do I move myself? That's the question. Where do I move myself? I have to make myself smaller. I know you're all here for me, guys, but that's what we're going to have to do. Oh, God, this is an absolute mess, isn't it? Absolute mess, this layout. That, maybe? And then you guys can be plonked here, I think. I don't know. Bring the track down, move myself at the top. Let's do that then. Yeah, let's do that. Let's go like that. Let's move. Sub count could be moved for a minute. Oh, it's such an awkward shape. Put my face in the middle? No, I'm not going to do that. This is just awkward, isn't it? Just an awkward track shape. Oh, it's such an awkward track shape. Right, I'm going to completely undo all of that. Hang on. And we are just going to... I'll sort it out. I'll sort something out in between. It's just going to be a bit of a smaller track map, and I'm going to have to make you guys smaller. Sorry, everyone. See, if I could rotate the map, that would be perfect, but I can't. Come on, multi-viewer. It's just really frustrating. Oh, my OCD is killing me right now. My OCD is absolutely all over the place. You want me in the middle of the track? No, no. That will have to do for the time being. That will have to do. And I'll figure out something to make it a little bit more suitable in the next FP2. I didn't realise the track was going to be laid out like this. The orientation of some of the tracks on multi-viewer has changed from last time. So, but yeah, it's really frustrating that you can't just drag a corner and just rotate it like you can do most images. So that's a bit frustrating, but hey ho. Right, where's my race control? Where's my race control? At least we won't have to sacrifice the race control this time around, because we can plonk it up here, right up top, pretty much. Let's make it a bit smaller like that, and then there we go, fits in there nice and perfectly. So yeah. Oh, unbelievable, unbelievable. Just got all this dead space up here. That's the problem. And my OCD's, yeah, killing me a little bit right now. But we'll figure something out, guys. We'll figure something out in between. But everyone wants me in the middle. Maybe if I move... Hang on. If I do that over there... Sorry, I'm really pissing about right now. I do apologise, everyone. Alright, I've got an idea for afterwards, but I don't want to do it on stream. I'll figure it out, guys. I'll figure it out. This will do for now. And then I'll sort something out that's the consumer's always right. Tell me you haven't worked in retail. You definitely haven't worked in retail. If that's, yeah. But, oh, there we go, guys. There we go. All good, all good. Who do I think will be on Max Verstappen's team for next year, Gamer? Ooh. I personally think Hadjar. I think Hadjar will be promoted, and I think Lawson will stay in the RB team, and I think... Or maybe they'll give Lawson another opportunity. And then Lindblad will be in the RB car. So, Sonoda doesn't stay, in my opinion. I think not because of performances. I think purely because he's there as a pay driver. And I don't think he stays. I just don't think they really truly have ever seen him as a Red Bull driver, unfortunately, for Yuki. So, there's some dead space in front. I might shrink the window a bit. But yes, Hungaroring, our last race, guys, before we go on a 3-week break. Oh, torturous 3-week break. But yeah, hopefully it's a good one for us. Always provides, doesn't it, here? Always provides the Hungaroring. So, what's the track temperature at the moment? 41.6 degrees. Oof. So, it's a unique circuit because the track temperature really shoots up here, even if the air temperature isn't particularly that hot. So, yeah, we could see over 50 degrees here this weekend. Josh Verstappen will be his teammate. No. Josh Verstappen will be the team principal, won't he? So, but yes, if you're just tuning in, guys, the big news really, isn't it, is that Fernando Alonso is out of this session. So he apparently has pulled a muscle or something. He has a muscle injury from Spa from last weekend, and he is not participating in FP1. They're going to assess him for FP2. Whether he's suitable for that session. It could be that Drogovic waits for the majority, is in the car for today, for both sessions, and then they're going to assess him for tomorrow, because you can make a decision up to qualifying. So Drogovic, unfortunately for him, he could participate in FP1, FP2, FP3, but then Alonso says he's okay for qualifying, and that means Drogovic cannot participate in the race on Sunday. So you have to, whoever's in for qualifying has to be in the car for the race on Sunday. So, hey, what? Good to see you. Mohammed, please, a shout out. Welcome, Mohammed. There you go. Welcome, welcome. You're a big fan. Much appreciated for you tuning in, and everyone else. As always, if you can continue to hit the like button, we are pushing 55,000 subs. A great weekend last time around at Spa. I think that was our longest stream yet, you know, over like, what, 4.5 hours with the hour and 20-minute rain delay, which was, yeah, really unfortunate. So, potential weather, if you saw my preview, guys, if you haven't seen it yet, go check it out. And potential weather on the radar for this weekend as well again. But very different circuit to Spa Hungaroring. We have seen wet weather races here in the past. So I'm sure, surely they'll allow it to go ahead on time in wet conditions this time. Especially after the backlash they had for Spa. So, how many DRS zones are there? There's 2 DRS zone sequencer. So, there is one down the start-finish straight and down from turn 1, basically, from here to turn 2. And that is it. But there's one DRS activation zone, which is basically at the entry of the pit lane. So, it's just here. Now, that means that, in effect, you get double DRS, which I'm not too big of a fan of. I said this in the preview. I would like to see that there's a second DRS detection zone, like through the corner of turn 1. So if you are the car that's behind, like if you've just been overtaken, you can allow that car through to an extent, and you at least have an opportunity to come back down into the short run in turn 2. Whereas if you've got double DRS, then it's a bit... It just makes it so much more difficult for that other car to re-overtake. So What's the weather looking like for the race? Wet at the moment. Wet. Last I looked. We'll have a look a little bit later on. But yes. Oh, why have I not got the... see, everything... This is how a bit unorganised I was, guys. There we go. I could put that down here. As a New Zealander, Dylan, you're predicting Lawson Q3 this weekend. And Lando to win the race from third. Oh, from third. Well, Lawson has... been on, I say, a good run of form. It's kind of stemmed from the Red Bull Ring. He wasn't able to really follow that up at Silverstone, of course. I mean, well, Silverstone, he qualified poorly, really, and then he found himself caught up in that sandwich, didn't he? Where, I say that sandwich, he didn't realise that he was going into a free wide on the first lap. Not his fault whatsoever, and Ocon had nowhere to go, and it took him out of the race. But last weekend, a Q3 performance and scoring points comfortably. So yeah, he's on a bit of a... He's found that confidence again, which has taken him a while to get back, it seems. So your guest presenter sounds happy in the background. Yeah, she's been fed. She's got a full belly, and she's currently playing at the moment. So if it's raining on Sunday, do they have to wait for it to stop before they can race? So this is it. This is it, Ant, isn't it? Spa was a reaction to what the drivers said was the stewards letting them out or race control letting them out too early, or getting them underway again too early in the conditions at Silverstone. And which, of course, the lack of visibility, which is always a concern in these cars. That's why Spa was postponed. That's why, obviously, we had the crash with Hadjar and Antonelli. So Spa was a reaction to the drivers' comments, and also a reaction to the fact that Spa is, as I've said before, unfortunately we've had tragic accidents there. So they didn't want that to occur, and they waited way too long for them to get back under racing again. Hungary, they will do the same if they deem the visibility is too poor, but this is a circuit where it is generally a lot safer than that of even Silverstone and Spa. So yeah, we should hopefully see racing in much more wet weather conditions than we ever saw at Spa. So, but anyway, FP1, the counter's down, and well, it seems that it's a little bit behind because green light, pit exit open. Slight delay there in the session getting underway, it seems. But Hamilton is the first driver out there. Of course, he's got the most wins here at Hungary, so he always does very well. So yeah, we'll see how he fares. There's a major change in Hamilton's car's brakes. What do I think of it? Well, it seems that obviously he had those new brake pads on. I mean, he seemed to be a lot more comfortable in the car on race day, didn't he? And with a brand new power unit, definitely one to be keeping an eye on for this weekend. That's what I said in my predictions anyway. Dan, welcome back to the pit crew, buddy. Wow, you're over a month now. I can see that. You're now changed to red. Big thank you, buddy. Big thank you. And if you want to support the channel further, you can join the pit crew as well, just like Dan and many others who have been supporting this channel even further. So big appreciation, guys. Where am I going to get rid of that? There we go. Session start. Remove. What's my view on Max not joining Mert for 2026? You guys just aren't watching my videos, are you? Unbelievable. No wonder my viewership's down on my videos. I said in that video, as I've said for quite some time, I always thought staying at Red Bull would have been the correct decision, even with the turmoil that is going on behind the scenes, shall we say. Because, well, Max, no one knows what 2026 is going to provide. No one knows if Merck is going to be the quickest. No one knows who it's going to be. Red Bull powertrains, they could quite easily be the fastest team next year. As people were assuming they weren't going to be the fastest team for this set of regulations because they focused too much on 2021 and finishing off those regs strong. And, well, they proved everyone wrong, and it could be the case here again. So really it is a complete unknown, and everyone's just assuming it's going to be Mercedes because they obviously got the last engine regulations correct. That doesn't mean they're going to this time around, because a lot of personnel have left Mercedes over the years, and it's not necessarily the same team that put that engine together back in 2014, or up to 2014. So yeah, I think he's right. See the lay of the land for the next year. See who is quickest, and if he still wants to move, then I think anyone would be bending over backwards really to acquire his services. So, Minty, welcome to the pit crew. Much appreciated, buddy. Thank you. What's the weather looking like for quali? So quali did look like, the last I checked, it looked like it could be wet before quali. It could be wet in the lead up to qualifying with it drying out. That's the last I checked. So, hang on. Hungaro ring weather BBC. So, that has moved away. Now I'm looking at it, the weather report. So the weather report I'm looking at now, that initially was a lot higher. That the weather is moving later into the evening. So we could be having a dry qualifying tomorrow now. And then Sunday, oh, it's been brought forward. So the weather has moved. So Sunday morning, it is going to be wet. It's basically going to be wet up until the start of the race. That's what I'm looking at. So it could be a wet track to start. Similar to what we saw really at Spa. It could be something similar to Spa, where it's wet, intermediate start with a drying out track. So, no more rain. I agree, Felix. I don't want rain. But yeah, we have the C5. Sorry, we have the C3 hard compound tyre, C4 the medium, and the C5 here this weekend. So, very soft, of course. So still very soft. Why this just looks so small to what I'm normally used to. It's because I've got to keep it small. Apologies, guys. Yeah, so we are on very soft tyres here again this weekend, which does normally lend itself to a two-stop strategy. Potential for a one-stop, but the track temperatures... I mean, look, track temperature's already 48.5 degrees. It's going to be super hot round here as Oscar Piastri flying at the moment with a purple first and second sector. Race winner here last year. Won his first race in F1 here last year in... of course, controversial fashion with Mercedes literally begging Lando Norris to relinquish the position due to their F-up. So, apparently the Argentinian GP might come back. There's so many rumours about tracks arriving on the calendar. I don't know who's going to be added, to be honest with you, Alex. I mean, if Colapinto performs well and secures himself a seat for the long term, maybe, but I don't know. 0.01 seconds between Max Verstappen and Piastri at the moment, 19.536 compared to Piastri's 19.535. My absolute pleasure, Anthony. Let's go, Oscar. Get another win before the summer holidays. Yeah, so Oscar, let's say the scenario is the McLarens are 1-2 again and Oscar does win and Lando comes second. That's 7 points advantage. He currently has an 18 points... lead? No, 16-point lead. So he could, if Lando finishes second and he finishes first, he could extend his championship lead into the summer break by up to 23 points. So just under a race win. So getting over a race win difference between him and his teammate is massively key in this championship for Oscar because it affords him a DNF. So massively puts Lando on the back foot if he isn't already. So, do I think Hamilton will get a podium this weekend? If there's one track, I say if there's one track, Silverstone, of course, is that other track. But yes, I think he'll be in the hunt for sure. I think that Ferrari is going to be stronger here. Surely he's got on top of the car now with the issues that they had from Spa. The brand new power unit is going to be a factor here as well. I don't think any of the top drivers have had brand new power units added yet. So, yeah, that'll be super beneficial for him at a track where he holds the most amount of wins. So confidence is key for any driver. Like they will gain an extra couple attempts from going to a track where they've had previous good history and previous good results. So Mercedes, yeah, I mean, remember, don't rule out Mercedes. This has always been a bit of a freak track for Mercedes in this era of regulations because Lewis Hamilton qualified on pole, didn't he? And then George Russell qualified on pole. They was never able to convert the race win because Max was still so dominant in that Red Bull when it came to race trim. But they were quick. And everyone was like, why are they so quick, though? Because the circuit, the track temperatures are super hot. And, like, why does this track lend itself to McLaren? Mercedes in this set of regulations. That's not to say, obviously, they'll do well here. Apparently, they have big news. They have reverted back to the old suspension. So they put a new suspension in the car, which has made their car considerably worse. Antonelli clearly struggled with it at Spa. George Russell said that, look, it's not Antonelli who's gone backwards, it's the team. And, well, they've clearly have gone backwards because they've reverted back to an old suspension. So we'll see if that improves them here this weekend. So who's replacing Hulkenberg? Oh, yeah. I didn't realise Hulkenberg isn't there. Aronofsky, is that Aronofsky? Or is that Paul Aaron? Is that Paul Aaron? Sorry, I think that might be Paul Aaron. That's crazy small difference between Piastri and Verstappen. Yeah, it won't stay like that. It won't stay like that. Let's have a look. I mean, really, so let's have a look at the lap times again from last year. We always like to do this and compare because we know that these cars are considerably quicker than last year, and it's always good to see how far generally they are off the pace of their peak performance, which we get some push laps, of course, when it comes to FP2. Normally, we may get some push laps in this first session, but not often. Of course, FP2 is the most relative session, most representative session of the weekend because qualifying it's the same time as when the race is held and when qualifying, so same time of day. So let's have a look. Right, so 20. I want to go 2024. Last year, we are looking at the Hungaroring. And it was qualifying. So fastest lap last year. So pole position last year was Lando Norris with 15.227. So we are still 4 seconds off of that. And we are probably 5 seconds off of the fastest time that they probably can set. So that just shows you what they're doing right now. They're doing high fuel runs, long runs. Obviously, they're on the hard and medium compound tyres at the moment. Not wanting to waste any unnecessary soft compound tyres because the soft tyre, I think, is used in the race as well. So definitely something that they probably want to keep a hold of, as Leclerc is the first driver to go sub 19 seconds there with an 18.786. Who do I want to win the Drivers' World Championship? I've said this before. I would like to see either of them win the World Championship. I do have more of a leniency to Lando. Primarily because, it's not because of Britishness, it's because of, and I've said it here on the stream before, it's because I feel he gets an unnecessary amount of hate online. I feel like the lad can say he can't please a lot of people no matter what he says, and I'd like for him to shut all those people up, to be honest with you. However, I would not be upset if Oscar Piastri won the championship either. I think both of them would be good champions, their first championship as well, and it'd be good for F1. I think Norris would deserve it, and I think Piastri, and in the end of the day, whoever wins it at the end of the year deserves it, primarily. So I agree. Many people say Norris doesn't have the X factor. That's fine, but if he wins a championship at the end of this year, what are you going to say? That he's still he's still only 16 points behind. It's a long season. We know that it's primarily, as Lando does go to the top of the timing screens right now, over 17.6, we know primarily that this championship is going to be decided on who makes the most mistakes. Now, Lando undeniably has made the most mistakes right now, and Oscar is being the more consistent. But there's still 10 more races, 10 more race weekends to go. That's a long way to go. It's a long way to go. So I just hope, and I've said this before, I just really hope it goes to Abu Dhabi, because I hate the last race of the season. I think it's absolutely dire, an absolutely terrible race circuit, and we need something on the line when it comes to Abu Dhabi for that race to be interesting. And I really hope that there's less than 7 points separating them when it comes to Abu Dhabi, and whoever wins that race wins it. That'd be the ideal scenario for me. So, or at least it goes down to at least there's maybe that's my ideal scenario, but at least have the championship be able to be decided on the last race of the season. So, why are they all changing tyres after 2 to 5 laps? That's a good question. Maybe some setup changes, probably just to scrub off a set of tyres. It may be just to see how how the track is performing. I mean, wow, the track temperature there, that's very interesting. So something that I just noticed and was keeping an eye on is the track temperature here, and it's something you guys should as well. So at the top of your screen, you can see where you've got where it says the timer, the track clear, wind direction and speed, but the track temperature is dropping quite dramatically right now. It did just get to 50 degrees. It was just at 49.9 degrees, and it's just dropped like 7 degrees nearly in the space of like a couple of minutes. So, and that is purely due to just cloud cover. So the cooler the track is here, the better the tyres will perform. They don't want a track that is over 50 degrees. And that could be very, very influential when it comes to qualifying tomorrow. Or it will be very influential when it comes to qualifying tomorrow. Because if you time it correctly and you're out there with maybe some cloud cover, and then the sun comes out for when you're going on your push lap, that can be the difference between you setting a good time and not tomorrow. And track evolution is always very, very big here at the Hungaroring. So something to keep an eye out on. But yeah, it's purely due to cloud cover that track temperature has just fallen. Due to when the sun's out, it massively shoots up, and his peak is getting over 50 degrees. So, or looking at over 50 degrees. And we actually saw peak temperatures here last year of 58 degrees track temperature. That is why we see tyre degradation. That is why we see tyre management be a real issue. And why, if you're poor on your tyres, it's a tough weekend for you. So I still think this weekend's going to be interesting with the McLarens. I want it to be a dry race because I said in my preview, we know that either side of the garage is allowed to fight now. They're allowed to make different decisions in relation to strategy because they've got that advantage in the constructors. If they're 1-2, they're able to fight against each other. And I think there's going to be a split strategy here this weekend. One of them's going to do the 1-stop and the other one's going to go and do a 2-stop. Now, whether that's the lead driver decides to hold on to track position and do the 1-stop, maybe, or whether if it's the second driver and the first driver pits for the second pit stop and then the second driver stays out. Whoever does what, in whichever position they are, that they are going to be... one's going to try a 1-stop, one's going to try a 2-stop, definitely. I don't think you're going to see both drivers this weekend, if they're first and second in the race. I don't think you're going to see both of those drivers commit to the same stop. Bring back Interlagos as the final Grand Prix. I could not agree more. I did a video on that, actually. I did a video on the Interlagos circuit, and every single time it has held the last race of the season. Hang on. Hamilton on the radio. Okay, right. So Lewis Hamilton is on the radio going, how is Norris 7 tenths up on us? Like, where is that time going? That's ridiculous. And they just reported to him, it's turn 7, 8, and 9. So basically, the changing direction corners, the slow speed corners, that is where the McLaren has been so supreme this year. And that clearly details it there, but they're losing considerable amount of time for Ferrari compared to the McLarens in turn 6, 7, 8, and 9 in those just couple of low speed corners there. So the change of directions. That's mad, isn't it? It's absolutely mad. Can you see the top speed? Great to see. We will have a look at top speed shortly, Felix. We'll wait till the halfway mark. And then we'll have a look at some sector leaderboards and the speed traps. I could tell you now, just from looking at the speed traps to my right-hand side, Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton are the fastest with 282 kilometres an hour. And the McLarens, unsurprisingly, as I predicted, as they have been all season, they're towards the bottom of the speed traps. But because they have such good performance in the corners, that's where they're making up all their time. So, and of course the DRS here as well. If you're able to run a bit more of a, where you're able to run more of a rear wing, the DRS is more effective. So, as Lando has just improved again. No, he didn't improve. He was very close. He set a purple second and third sector though. So, they should have replaced Stroll with Drogovic for FP1. Never. Stroll's always going to be there. Unfortunately, there's a constant in life. Death, taxes, and Lance Stroll in F1 are the certainties in life. As an Aussie, you're a Piastri fan, Pablo. However, you do not think he is necessarily better or faster than Lando. You believe the difference is that Piastri has a psychological edge and handles the pressure better. I agree. Look, he's a very calm, collected person. He's able to get over setbacks a lot more easier than Lando Norris. I think Lando definitely wears his heart on his sleeve a lot more, and he's even admitted that. He even admitted recently that in an interview, what's an area of his that he's improved on, and he said trying to not focus on what other people are saying. He was very conscious of what other people were saying online, in the media, and he's tried to ignore that now. And I think that's right. That's the right decision for him, because he needs to just focus on himself rather than and what he's doing out on track and what he can control rather than other people's opinions. So, including mine. Don't be a hater. I'm not a hater. I just think Lance Stroll has massively overstayed his welcome in the sport, and I just don't think it's deserved that he's there, considering we have lost many talented drivers from the sports because of not having the money, and we've also had many drivers who have not even been given an opportunity when they should have done, purely because they didn't have the money. And yeah, that Stroll should have been out of the sport quite some time ago on performance-related basis alone. So. Turn 1's seen the only overtaking spot. It is the main overtaking spot for sure. We do see overtakes into turn 2. We have also seen overtakes into turn 4 also. We don't really see many overtakes in the middle sector because it is obviously a lot more difficult to follow. That doesn't mean that we haven't seen them. Those that are bold will go for an overtake through there. But it's about the middle sector is more so about looking after your tyres. That's where obviously there's big changes of direction. Turn, of course, 8, 9 and 10 and 11 really does put a lot of pressure, and turns 12 does. You do lean on your tyres a lot. So that is really where you're not looking to overtake through there. That's where you're trying to gain the advantage in the long run of looking after your tyres, ensuring that you can go longer and obviously have better tyre life when that fall off of inevitable fall off, which does happen here at Hungarian because of those track temperatures and because of the nature of the circuit and certain corners here, that you wait for that opportunity to get more traction out of turn 14 or turn 13 as an example, or even turn 1 down into those corners. So the only thing permanent in F1 to change, unless you're a Stuffeyy, yeah. They sort of aren't. No, so last race was an anomaly. They still can't use the undercut as a second place driver, and I don't expect them to allow the split strategy this race. I disagree, Warren. I massively disagree. Time will tell. Time will tell. It's good to have disagreements. I like this. I like you guys challenging me. Because, yeah, I just think we've seen it already this season that they have done those split strategies. The hard tyre was a split strategy at Spa. Where else did we see it as well? We saw it at the Red Bull Ring. That was a split strategy where he tried the overcut there. I do think that they are letting them fight. And they are allowing each side of the garage to have those. That's why I was shocked. I think it was the Red Bull Ring. I was a bit shocked by it. I was like, oh, okay. Like, they're actually allowing them to fight. Normally they don't do that. Well, they normally allow them to fight on track, but they don't necessarily allow them to get one over each other in the pit lane and strategy. So, but it makes it interesting for us. I hope it's the case, because we want to. Surely you want to see that battle. Hendrik, where is my technical advisor today? When she gets vocal, if you disagree. she's currently in a stroller at the moment, moving around. So, have I changed my setup room? Ages ago. Yeah, I had to move my setup from the little one's room to the front room. So, yeah. Hard to argue against the view about Stroll, but then who would you have provide the funny relief on the grid? You always have to have someone we all agree to bag on. Yeah, I mean, look, in an ideal world, I wouldn't like anyone like that, really. Look, everyone has silly moments, but Stroll has had just too many silly moments, you know, and he hasn't really showcased really much, other than like a freak podium in, what was it, Baku? Did he get that podium in Baku? I can't remember. And that freak pole, of course, in Turkey. Other than that, yeah, I mean, It's just not been good enough. Lando Norris, top of the timing screens here, 1:16.837. So let's have a look, shall we? We're approaching nearly the halfway mark here, and I'll show you the sector times at the moment, guys. So, of course, Sector 1 is down all the way from the start-finish line to basically after the second corner. So that is where Sector 1 is. So that requires a lot of top speed. So unsurprisingly, and we'll have a look at the speed traps very shortly, McLarens have never been the quickest in a straight line. Their advantages come from the speed in the corners and their low speed corners in particular. And well, you can see here that Leclerc 28.231, although Loris isn't that far behind. You're talking a hundredth or so there, and he's fastest comfortably in the first and last sector. But Piastri maybe not quite pushed as hard yet at the moment, maybe not comfortable with the setup as he is in the pit lane at this moment in time. And you can see there, Stake F1 not looking too good. Colapinto down there in the first sector. Lawson hasn't really hooked anything up yet. Lewis Hamilton not comfortable as well, as Charles Leclerc is quite considerably ahead of Lewis, particularly in the second and third sector. So those are the sector times. And then if we look at the speed traps, and well, let's have a look here. This will give you a bit of an early indication of maybe what setups and rear wing configurations drivers are using. The Ferrari's comfortably the quickest in the first sector. Charles very quick in the second sector as well. So yeah, really quick from those two. That may be an indication of maybe running a higher battery mode, battery mode, engine mode, as well. So there's maybe lighter fuel load, so that can all play a factor. But yeah, you see the McLarens, there's the constant, them always in the bottom three, really, or bottom five when it comes to top speed. In practice sessions, they're not overly quick. They're just so well balanced, though, that they just completely nullify that. They get track position and then they just drive off into the distance because no one. This is really primarily why you see the McLaren struggle in dirty air, because if they can't gain track position, then which normally comes from driver mistakes, then they don't have the top speed to get back past their competitors. They have the advantage in the corners, but we know that it's tricky to follow in the corners. As Lewis Hamilton is reporting on the radio, the car doesn't feel good at the moment. So that is why it's always essential for the McLarens to try and qualify and pole. They have the quickest car over a single lap, but they have a weakness when it comes to top speed. So yeah, they're not. That's why they struggle to get back past. That's why we saw them at Canada maybe struggle as well, where there's more emphasis on top speed than there is actually pace in the corners. So yeah. But a lot of drivers in the pits at the moment, by the way. So we may see some push laps. Track temperature is dramatically fallen, by the way. We're now under 40 degrees. That is absolutely wild, by the way. In the space of 15 minutes, I'm pretty sure it's about 15 minutes, we have seen the track temperature fall 10 degrees. That is wild. That is absolutely wild. Afternoon, Andy. Good to see you, mate. Didn't realise just how remembered where the Hamilton poster and helmets have gone. Yeah, just a bit of a little change. I had to move some things off the wall. So, yeah. As I said, I'm saving this space for the 100k plaque, guys. I know we've only just got over 50k, but this is where the silver plaque's going, the YouTube plaque. If you don't have enough downforce, this is the thing, is that they've clearly found a brilliant sweet spot. So you are correct. Too much downforce will wear the tyres out too much. But they're clearly finding a very well-balanced position with their downforce, but they're still able to manage those tyres. Now, we know, obviously, they've got those phase materials on the brake calipers around the brakes where they're able to distribute the temperature either more towards the tyre carcass or away from it. And they're able to manage their tyres very well there in relation to temperatures. But if you have not enough downforce, you're also going to have more sliding over the contact patch from the tyre to the track surface is going to slide more. So then that's also going to cause degradation of the tyre itself. So yeah, it's about finding the right balance, and McLaren just have that sweet spot. They've just got such a good car that they can find that sweet spot with, obviously, the extra components they've got to manage the temperatures and just make those tyres go so much longer than everyone else who has to, at the moment, they have to compromise somewhere. If they want more downforce, then they're going to lose top speed, like more performance in the corners. I think Paul Aaron there has just gone round at turn 13. Don't worry, Paul. I've done exactly the same thing many a times in many motorsport series on iRacing, nonetheless, not in real life, of course. I wonder if he's going to be able to get that car going again. But, yeah, Paul Aaron, who is in place here as a rookie for Nico Hülkenberg. He's currently at the bottom of the standings here, P20. He's not able to get the car going again unless he's massively locked up and has gone into the barriers, as Colapinto's out on a set of soft compound tyres at the moment. And there is a VSC deployed, so that's interesting. Seems that Paul Aaron's car is stricken at the moment. Still yet to see exactly what occurred. He's most definitely gone round. Most definitely gone round. At least it's not a red flag. Still waiting to see my TV coverage catch up. It's quite far behind, to be fair, as I'm watching the yellow flag come up on screen now. And he's clearly got stuck. I don't think there's gravel there. Has he gone round? I mean, it looks like he's just pulled off. Hang on. I've got systems critical alarm. Oh dear. I've got systems critical alarm. That's not something that you want. So his car, he hasn't spun at all. He's just pulled off to a safe area, near an escape road, but of course he's straight on there into the braking zone, so he is in a dangerous position. So that's why the VSC is out. They should be able to move that car shortly and away, and we should have this session back underway again. 100k coming up. Yes, exactly, Tiger. The phase change material theory has been disproven and it would currently be disallowed. Has it? Is it actually been disproved? I'm not sure if it's been disproved. I think they've disproved that it's illegal. I could be wrong, Felix, and you could be absolutely on the money there. I thought that was their, I thought that was kind of like their thing. So 100k on the same weekend, Hamilton gets his 8th next season. I see the vision. I'd like to get 100k a lot sooner than that, to be honest, Andy. But yeah, that would. I mean, we hit 50k when at the British Grand Prix, so that was nice. Macca looking untouchable so far. Shock, Connor. Shock. I mean, they dominated here last year. They're going to dominate here again. This is their circuit, isn't it? This is their circuit. A circuit where top speed isn't really that influential. You make up all the time in the corners here at the Hungaroring. That's just the McLaren down to a T at the moment, and that is why they're going to dominate here again, with the advantage of the fact that they're able to keep those tyres in a nice window for much longer. Yeah. That's why I do hope that we actually see a dry race on Sunday and the temperatures skyrocket, because I think that's the only way the McLarens are going to be forced into doing a two-stop. So, yeah. Well, Lewis came on the radio and went, "Where have we lost that time? Where have we lost it?" To Lando Norris. He couldn't understand, and they reported to him turn 6, 7, 8, and 9. Shock horror, the middle sector, change of direction, lower speed corners, pure McLaren country. So. It's only a theory, yeah. Yeah, I mean, no one truly knows exactly, I think, what they're doing there, but they're clearly, I think the general consensus is that they're able to gather the data from those, from the brake housing and distribute the temperature either towards the tyre or away from the tyre. Not obviously remotely, because that would be against the rules. They're not allowed to have anything active on the car. So they're able to then make alterations in the pit lane, and then that means that, yeah, they're not obviously losing temperature or retaining temperature, you know. So, water tyre, maybe. I don't think so, to be honest. I think if you just look at the images that did get sent out there of when it was a big talking point, you can see that the design of their brake housing is so intricate. There's so much more around it than the bare bones of even the Red Bull. And you're just like, wow, how have they managed to gain? How have they managed to gain a step forward on this compared to everyone else up and down the grid? Like, it's mad. But here we go. We've got some performance laps coming up, I think, here, guys, as the soft compound tyres are on. So let's see. Now, remember, we saw a pole position lap of last year of a 1:15.2. So will we see that in this session? Maybe. I mean, the track temperature is cooler at the moment, a bit cooler than what we normally see here at the Hungaroring, so that will benefit the drivers around here for making their tyres last longer, as Colapinto pops in there with a 117.9. So, yeah, let's see how they get on. Piastri's back out there on the same set of mediums, so he's still probably trying to dial in his setup. Of course, for them, they know they've got the pace over a single lap. It's more so about ensuring that they're comfortable for when more fuel is in the car, and, of course, the race on Sunday with those stints. Agree with Kalido. Stroll is stuck where he doesn't want to be. Poor bloke's miserable every time we see him. The general consensus from someone I've spoken to who used to work in F1, he said the general consensus is that he's there for his dad. His dad wants him in F1. He doesn't want to be there. And there have been many instances where they've overheard him and his dad having shouting matches. So, which I don't think it'd be a surprise to anyone. So, Connor, McLaren suspension design and geometries through the right height ranges seems to be the big difference between the others. Yeah, it's not just, I mean, yeah, you're bang on there. It's not just one element that makes them better than everyone else. They've just got such a great car. And people continue to ask, as Charles Leclerc goes fastest in that first sector, by the way, at 28.0. That is as Hamilton goes second fastest with a 28.1, but he's nearly a tenth down on his teammate in that first sector. We'll see if Lewis can recover that time in the middle sector if Colapinto doesn't get in his way. That is. But what people forget about McLaren is that they're like, oh, he's just come out of nowhere. McLaren's performance has come out of nowhere. How were they like last and then they ended up like dominating now? Well, McLaren, and people forget, have recruited very well over the past few years. And there's always a delay with the 6-month gardening leave and then that person joining and then their expertise having an effect on the car. There's always a delay to gains being seen from when you recruit. I remember there was a big recruitment drive not too long ago and you're like, oh, McLaren have like just announced a whole new heads of department. Have they just like replaced their whole team? But they've clearly recruited shrewdly and that's now showing with the performances last season and now this season. So and whereas everyone else is kind of, Red Bull were dominant, but then they lost key personnel, as we well know. Adrian Newey, Jonathan Wheatley, is it Dan Fallows? I mean, just they've lost so many engineers as well and like designers, as kind of like a big team does. They haven't been able to retain them, so they haven't been able to stay up to speed with the advancements of McLaren, and even some of the other teams as well have now been able to catch them rather than them maintain their advantage. So yeah, that's it's credit to McLaren to be able to convince them. Rob Marshall, that's it. Rob Marshall, that's the big key one. Yeah. Yuki to Aston, I think he'll be there as a reserve driver. I really do. I don't think he'll be there for 26 because Alonso's there. So Piastri's now on a fresh set, as is Lando Norris. Charles Leclerc went up there with a 16.7. As we know, we're still 1.5 seconds off of pole position of last year. Let's see if Lando can pop in a time, shall we? Quicker than that of Leclerc, and maybe push the sub 1:16 in this FP1 session. There's a yellow flag briefly there for Carlos Sainz. Did Carlos Sainz massively lock up and go on at turn 1? Maybe. Obviously, big runoff areas down there, so they're able to recover as Lando does a 28.0 in that first sector. He is 0.03 of a second quicker than Leclerc in that first sector, and he's not even quickest in the speed traps, Lando Norris. He's still Lando Norris 18th when it comes to the speed traps in the first sector. So, yeah, this is where now we're going to see the McLaren in this middle sector where there's lots of changes of direction through turn 11 there, all the way down into the hard braking zone of turn 12 at 26.7. That is 4 tenths quicker than second fastest of George Russell and 0.5 second quicker than that of Charles Leclerc, who has the fastest time at the moment. So Lando now, is he going to get a bit caught up there by Max Verstappen? Oh no, Max is in the pit lane, so no, should be a clear lap here for Lando. And it is a 1:16 flat. Close to getting to the sub 1:16 second mark. But that's just a simple 7 tenths, nearly 7.5 tenths dunked on the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc there. He just got a laugh. Oh, God. You wouldn't be surprised if Christian joins Aston to reunite with his old mate. I don't think so. I think Newey and Horner's relationship really soured. I don't think with Newey now being a key shareholder there, I don't think that partnership will be resumed. Yeah, I don't know where Horner will eventually end up. Any interesting announcements likely over the summer? So there is probably the announcement of the Caddy lineup. Sergio Perez is supposed to be next week. Maybe I think the date that I have seen is August the 6th. So that's what, Wednesday? I think it is, Wednesday or Thursday. So that is when Sergio Perez is going to be announced for the Caddy drive. Probably the worst kept secret in F1 at the moment. Who knows who's going to be in that second seat? Bottas maybe Mick Schumacher, maybe even, I think, Zach Crawford is being touted. He's doing quite well in F2 at the moment. If that's the approach that they want to take, he's an American driver. We don't know. I think he may be brought on as potentially a reserve driver. The only seats now that are yet to be wrapped up are the Caddy seats, as I just mentioned, the RB seats, and the second Red Bull seat. I think that's it. So, worst gigs in Aston Reserve, to be honest. Lay of the land for 27. Yep. As it was indeed a big lock-up by Sainz down into the first corner, by the way. As Piastri has just gone fastest in the first sector by 0.04 of a second over his teammates. So he's making his way through turn 11 now. Is he maybe getting a bit of dirty air from Ocon there through turn 11? Maybe that might have affected him because he just did a 26.8 compared to his teammates' 26.74. So you're talking a couple of hundredths of a second there. So they're basically neck and neck right now on this lap. But Piastri maybe has a bit more of a clearer last sector than Lando did, as Piastri comes around the last corner, and it is second fastest. Oh, he lost a little bit of time. He lost 2 tenths almost in that last sector there, Piastri. But it's only practice. How often have we seen Lando top the timing screens in FP1, FP2, FP3, but then it comes to Q3 and he's not able to convert it. So Piastri won't be too concerned about that. But unsurprisingly, big gaps there between Norris, Piastri and the rest of the field. So, Connor, you said... What did you say, Connor? What did you say? I can't see what you said. Where are you? We knew it was going to happen. They were 1 second faster in these corner types at Spa. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, Charles Leclerc just popped in a fastest first sector. But let's see how much time he loses in the middle, though. As Albon's just gone purple in the first sector. Oh, my God. The Williams just trimmed off all their rear wing. Albon, so fastest in the first. Charles Leclerc, third fast. I tell you what's a much better middle sector for Charles Leclerc. On a second lap on these tyres. As Lewis Hamilton's just done a 28 flat in the middle in the first sector, so that's better for Lewis as well. That's on par with the McLarens. Looks like it might have been held up by a traffic there though, heading into the chicane, so not ideal. So that's a much better lap time there from Charles Leclerc. Only 2 tenths back from Lando Norris and the McLarens, but yeah, you still expect that they've still got plenty in the tank. So Hamilton making his way through the last sector now, but looks like he might have been held up by a bit of traffic. Yeah, that middle sector, he's lost about 3 tenths there. I think not ideal whenever you're headed into the middle sector. The tightest corners on the track with drivers having to move offline still puts you off. So the delta from McLaren to anyone else, P3's about 6 tenths. It's as much as P3 to P17. I know, they've got such an advantage at the moment, haven't they? So, better time from Lewis there is 16.7. His last sector was just off, a couple of hundredths off of Charles Leclerc's. So that middle sector is where he lost a lot of time, where he did catch a bit of traffic. So, much more improvement there for Lewis. I mean, he lost almost 4 tenths in the middle sector on Charles Leclerc there. So... And then he lost a tenth or so in the last sector. It's kind of the same with Lando and Oscar. If one of them is ahead or the other in practice, it will stay in that order throughout the weekend. Kinda. I mean, we have seen as I mentioned, Lando Norris top the timing screens in a lot of practice sessions this weekend. But then when it came to Q3, not able to convert it. But this was a track which he does like. Is a track where he got pole position last year, of course, but he wasn't able to lead down into turn 1. And yeah, obviously we know the debacle that happened after that. So Oh my God, big moment from Alex Albon. Alex Albon was flying, but then he got over the chicane and he had a real rear snapper there as the car was settling. As I'm watching Gabriel Bortoletto and the exit of turn 4 there. There's a big drop-off with the curbing, but if you run too wide, which is very easy to do, the car bottoms out, and we have seen, obviously, some big crashes there in the past. Do I feel Perez is the right driver to support a new team? I think he's one of the better options, for sure, that's available out there. He's only been out of F1 for a year. He has great experience of coming from a team, arguably the most dominant team in F1 history with Red Bull and that period that they went through. So I think he can. I think he's at an age as well, at a time of his career where his role has changed. He's back in the midfield. He can try and drive the team forward. He can give good feedback, and that's what I mean. I wouldn't be surprised if they go for another experienced driver with someone like Bottas to try and drive that team forward for the next couple of years with a set of new engine regulations rather than without even their own engine, which they're not bringing until 2029. So, yeah, I think having a pairing of Perez and Bottas would be probably quite a smart decision, to be honest with you. Apparently, Lewis Hamilton working with someone who used to be at Mercedes. It seems he trusts that person after performance at Spa. Is this the new performance engineer that he's got? He's working with Ricky. So Ricky hasn't been dropped. I think he's on... I just heard him on the radio, to be fair, Ricky, there. So he's still there, but I think he's got someone in addition to Ricky helping him. And I think that was the voice that we heard at Spa, wasn't it? Loic Serra? Yeah, name rings a bell. Hungary is more Norris territory more than Oscar. Maybe, yeah. I think if you look at the tracks that Norris is strong at, yeah, I mean, Red Bull Ring, this, yeah, maybe. But, I mean, that's not to say Piastri is not good at his circuit. I mean, he still qualified second last year and won the race, so... Checo's stock has skyrocketed following Lawson and Yuki demonstrating that Red Bull is undrivable unless you're a generational talent like Verstappen. Yeah, and also, as Piastri, by the way, has just improved in the middle sector. This could be purple lap here for Piastri. Around the last corner for him. Leaning on those tyres. Oh, it's close. Oh, it's close. 19 thousandths of a second there. 0.019 for Oscar Piastri behind his teammates, Lando Norris. So 16.052 compared to Piastri's 16.071. So super close here in the first practice session. Yes, sorry. Going back to Checo, I mean, we've just had it. Now, obviously, I've seen a lot of people attack Yuki Tsunoda's comments on social media this week because he has said, I'm not going to judge myself too harshly until I've got the same car as Max Verstappen, because he has always been a step behind in relation to updates behind Max, as has always been the case with the second driver. And if you notice, Perez's performances at the start of the season were always like, he wasn't that far off Max. He actually won some races, and actually you thought, oh, okay, maybe for once we're actually going to see a championship battle here with teammates. But as the season went on, yes, certain development went in a direction where Max was able to cope with the car better, and clearly there was clearly a what's the right word? An operations perspective where they were holding spare parts back for so they were creating more parts for Max Verstappen for spare parts in case he damaged them, rather than putting them on the second car. And they put the new parts. They did do that at Spa. They went, no, we're putting them on Yuki's car. And Yuki the car obviously felt a lot better for him, and he had a much better performance. So, yeah, I mean, if that approach is now going to be taken moving forward, that's something obviously that Yuki is going to benefit from. But also it makes you think, okay, well, what did Perez have to deal with for so long? There was always the concerns that Perez wasn't driving the same car as Max. And, yeah, I think his stock has, to an extent, not completely, but it has kind of gone up more so than when he left. That's for sure. People have kind of gone, oh, okay, it wasn't all Perez's fault. So There are so many clickbait F1 YouTube videos about drivers and team changes, fake news. This channel is the best and gives honest info. Plus, Scott is a racer at heart. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you. Yeah, look, video content, I'll only put faults out there when I think it's relevant to do so. Yeah, simple as, really. Will I stream FP2? Of course I will. Of course I will. Yuki was on latest spec last race, but he doesn't have the new front wing yet this week. Okay, fair enough. I mean, yeah, that's what I mean. He's still behind, Connor. He's still behind. But at least he should be getting updates to the car, getting those updates like a race week later or the next race later, rather than maybe 2-3 races later. Because they were holding them back for Max. But I get why you would, because Max has been that has been such a one-man team for so long, because Max has been that good. I get why their approach has been that way. And plus, you also don't know what strings have been pulled behind the scenes as well. We know that Jos Verstappen and Max Verstappen's camp has a lot of sway and a lot of power. Maybe that's been pressure from them behind the scenes to go, no. Like, what are you doing? Like, we don't... Like, if you're Max's camp, or if you're in any driver's camp, you don't want the second driver or the teammate to be given equal treatment. You don't want that. You want your driver to be given preferential treatment. That's what every driver up and down this grid wants. Sainz and Albon, they will be fighting internally to try and get, like, more preferential treatment, to try and claim that #1 status. Same as Norris and Piastri. Of course, McLaren have set out their rules. I mean, that's why people have said that Webber has done a great job for Piastri's camp, because he's not going to allow McLaren behind the scenes to favour Norris, who has been at the team a lot longer. So that's been a great job by Webber, because it could easily have gone that way. And yeah, maybe that has been the case behind the scenes with Verstappen and so forth, and his teammates. So, but then that's the job of your management to do that, to look after your best interests, and your best interests are being given preferential treatment in the team. So, Stephen, you don't have ESPN watching on Pluto TV. One problem, it's in Spanish. Well, that's why you're tuning in. Feels weird to me that Perez's problems only began when argued with Max. I believe Horner had something to do with that. Potentially. I think a lot's going to come out now. I think in the next few months, the remainder of the year, I think we're going to get an insight into potentially what things were like behind the scenes. Especially if Horner writes a book. I know he's full of a lot of twaddle, but I mean, I imagine he could write a good book, you know. Could write a very good book. Apparently, RB didn't even tell Yuki those upgrades were going to be on his car until right before the race. Could he even practice with them in the sim? Well, yeah, serious. Well, this is Mekis. Mekis came in. He's obviously in the space of he had, a week and a half to figure things out? I imagine there's so much that he had to do in the space of a week and a half to try and get up to speed. And clearly that's something that probably something that he found out last minute himself, thinking, hang on a second, what? We've got these spares. What are they bloody doing sitting off of the car? Why are they not on a car? And I mean, Red Bull are in a situation right now where they need both of their drivers to perform best so that they can give sufficient feedback on their updates and their upgrades and move the team forward again. They're not in a luxury position right now where they can have all their focus on one driver. They need both drivers performing well so that they can give sufficient feedback and drive the team forward. There's no point of Yuki still being on car and your second driver still being on parts that are 3, 4, 5 races old, you know. Is it true that Horner is going to be head of operations at Alpine? That is what people have assumed would be his next step. He hasn't given any indication, from my understanding, what his next step is going to be. He's probably going to end up taking a good year out, or at least until the end of the year, and then maybe he might start dipping his toe back in and going, okay, I want to get back in now. How do I get back into F1? And F1 moves very fast, and people will forget very quickly what he did behind the scenes or whatever, you know, his misdemeanors. And ultimately, you look at him, he still brought a team regardless of those misdemeanors, he still brought a team from nothing as the youngest principal ever, a team principal ever in F1, 31 I think he was, to winning 8 championships. So any idea what the Cadillac cars will be? Yeah, I think it's going to be like Cadillac colours, kind of like a Rich Energy. Remember the Rich Energy drink colours? Like that, like gold and black, I think. So do I think Webber mentored Oscar with Vettel as a point of reference, and he's more like Vettel and not Webber? Yeah, I mean, look, obviously Webber definitely has that experience. He has great experience of trying to fight for a world championship with his teammates who got more preferential treatment and was the more favoured driver. So he's using that experience to mentor Oscar and to ensure that McLaren don't do the same thing as to what Red Bull did to him. So yeah, I mean, Webber is 100% doing that, and thus far it's allowed Piastri to be able to be given that equal treatment, because I do think last season we saw that influence of Mark Webber, because I think if you're McLaren last year, without maybe Webber's influence, they allow Lando Norris to continue fighting for that drivers' championship, and they maybe have more faith in Lando trying to chase down Max Verstappen. There was numerous times last year. Well, they spent so long last year not acknowledging Lando Norris was even in a drivers' championship fight, and that he could comfortably close that gap if they had more faith in him. It was only until Brazil, till it was too late, that they actually was like, yeah, okay, Lando's now in this championship fight. And it's like, you've got 3 races left. How can you truly say now that he's in the fight? Like, you could have avoided Monza. You could have avoided, like, so many scenarios where they were, like, fighting or what so forth. But, yeah. Are you going to need ID verification to watch YouTube stream soon? I hope not, mate. I hope not. Obviously, here in the UK, yeah, things are... I'm keeping my eye out on that. I'm keeping my eye out on that, but hopefully not. Track temperature's getting cooler, 37.6 degrees Celsius. Yeah, it's flirting around the 40 degree mark at the moment, but we did see, as I said earlier on, when the sun was out, it got up to 50 degrees. So that's how quickly the track temperature can change here at the Hungaroring, but the air temperature has remained the same. So cloud cover, very, very influential here at Hungary, and could play an important role when it comes to qualifying tomorrow. And that's why we see. That's why we can see, of course, track evolution and sessions get slower or quicker here at Hungary. So something to keep an eye on for tomorrow. Yuki got the full upgrade in the Imola and destroyed the car and got back to old part. I do agree with that. Yeah, Ishan. I mean, I'm not absolving Yuki of a lot, like 100% of blame, because he still crashed that car in that manner that he did. And it meant that he stayed back for a while. But yeah, it seems like that. I think the reports were that holding back spare parts for Max has been something, and not putting them on the second car has been something that's been ongoing for some time. This isn't like something that's new in the last few months. Bob, you don't like my live chat. It's full of using my channel to exchange comments non-related to the Grand Prix today. In what sense? From what I'm seeing, the majority of the conversation is around F1. It doesn't necessarily have to be related to the weekend itself. That's not always the case. This is the thing with practice sessions, Bob, is that it's a bit more free-flowing. It's a little bit more relaxed. We are focused on the session and, of course, what we can maybe predict for this weekend. But ultimately, it's about F1 in itself. And overall, we can talk about the history of F1. We can talk about 2026 regs, what's to come, what has been. And it's just a bit more chilled. So I appreciate your concerns, buddy, but I think it's a bit... I think qualifying and the race, of course, is... your comments are a bit more, obviously, validated there. But, yeah, right now, it's a bit more chilled and relaxed. So hope it's still good stream, though, buddy, nonetheless. Hulkenberg gets his second podium somehow. Well, Bortoletto, so obviously Paul Aaron, they've had a critical system issue with the car, which is why Paul Aaron's early This FP1 session's ended early for him in the rookie tests, so yeah, he will be out the car for FP2 and Hulkenberg back in. But Bortoleto, who has been on a good run of form at the moment, not looking too great in that Stake F1 car, so yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it fares for them. Yuki Tsunoda, though, down in 17th. Not looking too good for him. Verstappen. There's quite a big field spread here at the moment. We do expect the McLarens to be comfortably quickest. But, of course, this is a track where it can be tricky to get a clean push lap in because of that middle sector. If you catch any cars in that middle sector, you're going to just... your lap is ruined. So, yeah, take some of these times with a pinch of salt. FP2 is really where we'll see a more representative session, as always. And we will see some more representative push lap times as well. So, you saw some of it. Lewis could benefit the most from 2026 regs since he's good with feedback and managing all the engine components. Yes, I mean, I'd expect Lewis to fare much better with the 2026 regs than he has done with these regs because he comes from a generation where he joined F1 and had success in F1 with much more lighter and nimbler cars, smaller cars. While the 2026 regs aren't dramatically smaller and lighter, they are heading back in that direction, and the smallest changes can feel so much bigger after spending the last 4 years driving the heaviest F1 cars and largest F1 cars in history. So, I agree, Dan. Let's talk about it. Chocolate digestive. It's got to be the chocolate digestive. I'm a sucker for a chocolate or a chocolate bourbon. Ooh, I love a chocolate bourbon. What's your best biscuits, guys? Jammy Dodger. Oh, I know those since I was a kid. They made me a bit sick, to be fair, Jammy Dodgers. So, this is the peak. This is why you guys tune in. This is why you guys all tune in. The 2026 cars are going to be interesting. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be an absolute... It's going to be an absolute... crazy season, in my personal opinion, because no one knows what the regs are going to be like. So, no one knows it's going to be good. If calories are no object, it's a bourbon. I mean, let's be honest, Dan. Are we really thinking of calories when we dig into biscuits? I'm definitely not. Biscoff! Oh, yeah. Do you know what? I've come round to a Biscoff in the last few years. I love any chocolate Biscoff-related stuff. Or a Biscoff cheesecake. Oh. Or a Biscoff Kit Kat Chunky. Oh, I'm salivating now, guys. I'm just putting on calories, even just thinking about it. This is the problem with me. I think about sweet stuff, and my waist size increases an inch. When you got a stack of 5, yeah. But are you thinking about them? The thing is that are you thinking about them once you've stacked them up and you're eating them, or after you've eaten them, where you're like, I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have done that. A biscuit Kit Kat. Yeah, Biscoff Kit Kat is absolutely to die for. But there's the end of FP1, ladies and gentlemen. The session has ended here at the Hungaroring. And, well, unsurprisingly, the McLarens are top, first and second, separated by less than 200ths of a second. A theme that I think we're going to see here for the remainder of this weekend. Charles Leclerc third, 2 tenths back. Hadjar fourth. Lewis Hamilton fifth. Behrman sixth. Good from Behrman there. Antonelli and Russell, they've reverted back to the old suspension unit, so they're expecting better performance here this weekend. A track which they have done well at in this regulation set. Verstappen P9, Stroll 10th, Albon 11th, Ocon 12th, Gasly 13th, Lawson 14th, Sainz 15th, Drogovic, who stepped in for Alonso, who is going to be assessed for FP2, is in 16th, Tsunoda 17th, Colapinto 18th, Bortoleto 19th, and Paul Aaron had an early end to his session with a critical engine failure there. So yeah, that is it for this session. Large field spread, as I mentioned. Don't look too much into it. It's not really representative other than maybe the McLarens. And we will see some push laps in the afternoon for FP2. So, yes, agree. Like the stream, guys. Like the stream. We'll be back, of course, when I do end this stream shortly. We'll be taking you straight over to FP2, which will be live in a few hours' time. I may have a guest for FP2. Because the missus is going out, she's got the week off, and she's going out for a spot of food. So yeah, I'm still on daddy duties. I've still got another month off paternity. So You think Hamilton's advantage in 26 won't come from the car size, but the new floor regulations? 2026 cars use a simplified version. Well, that's the plan, isn't it, with active aero and stuff as well, is to ensure that it provides less dirty air. I mean, generally, the first set of a new reg, this first year of a set of new regs, because the cars aren't overdeveloped. Yes, while maybe one team does get it better and more correct than the others, the racing itself is a lot closer because that is when the dirty air is always at its least, it's minimal. Whereas as regulation sets always progress, the teams are able to find more performance, and that means they throw off dirty air. So, would I risk it for a biscuit? No. Do you know what? And this sounds really. And Danny is about to have an absolute fit right now because I know you're from further up north than I am, Dan, aren't you? I could tell from your accent. I actually, yes, you're about to hear this correctly, guys, and you're about to fall off your chairs. I'm a Brit who does not like tea. Don't come at me. Do not come at me. I just don't like tea. Never have done. Never have. I don't like a cup of tea. Sorry. I know. I do make a good cup of tea, though. I do make a good cup of tea, but I just don't like tea. Blasphemy, Professor. I know. I need to be studied. A Brit who doesn't like tea. I'm willing to be studied, by the way. But yes, I'm a coffee guy. I like a coffee more so. But yes, let's have a look at sector times, shall we? And well, at the end of that session there, what drink am I? Oh, I'm currently drinking a Monster. Not sponsored, by the way. Monster, sponsor me. But no, I'm definitely more of a coffee guy. So. The missus. It's yes, Alan, another Brit who doesn't like tea. We'll stick together. We'll stick together, buddy. We'll stick together. I will sort out obviously the setup and everything once his stream ends and make sure things fit where they should do. And you guys on chat are a bit larger. Virtual safety car deployed there at the end. Interestingly, maybe just testing their systems. But Albon fastest in that first sector. He was actually on for a very good lap until he had a big moment through the chicane of turn 6 and 7. So maybe some pace in there for the Williams. We know they've always got good top speed. Interesting there. I say worrying. The rest of the teams probably aren't too worried, to be fair. They know McLaren's quick, but the McLaren's third and fourth fastest in the first sector when they're towards the bottom of the speed traps into sector 1 is what is ominous for the rest of the field, to be perfectly honest with you, because they are very good, of course, in sector 2 and sector 3. Piastri improvements to be had there for him in that last sector, with Charles Leclerc actually splitting both of them. But yeah, traffic can play a big factor here, of course, with some of these sector times. So good luck, the missus. For American viewers, biscuits are what we call cookies. True. A cookie here in the UK is like a proper chocolate chip cookie. So. I appreciate your concerns, Bob. Look, I will look into it. But look, we do have the mods here who do a very good job, and they obviously try to keep things relevant and so forth. So I apologise if you feel that way, mate. But yeah, of course, I'm always looking to improve the experience for everyone. You call them biscuits and cookies. True. What's the track weather this weekend? Seems to be pretty good. Seems to be the rain is moving away, which I want. So, oh, look at that. Danny's been afforded a lovely gifted membership there by Jarvis. Thank you, buddy, for the gifted. Much appreciated. So those are the sector times. Let's have a look at the speed traps there. Well, we can see the speed traps. Well, Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton fastest in the first sector there. Well, Charles Leclerc comfortably fastest. Don't know if you've got a cheeky little toe. The toe can play a role here as well. But look at those McLarens, 16th and 18th fastest in the first sector. They're 6 kilometres, more than 5 kilometres down in that first sector there on the Ferraris. That is wild. And they're still third and fourth fastest in the first sector. And then the second sector, they pick up the pace a bit more. And then the finish line, I mean, that low speed cornering that we know the McLarens are very strong at the moment, ensuring that they pick up the pace out of the last corner compared to everyone else is, yeah, supreme. So it's getting late, but you're watching you're watching this FP2. It'll be FP2 in a few hours' time. I will end the stream very shortly, guys. So, you Americans put sausage gravy on your biscuits. FP2, Chris, starts in... I'll tell you when FP2 starts. It starts... It's going to send you straight over to the stream when I end this, anyway. Which will be very shortly. And it starts at 4 p.m. UK time. 4 p.m. So, what time have I got? I think I may have to session up a bit too early, you know. I want to give myself some time to have some lunch, you know. When is it to go live? No, 3:45. Yeah, so 4 o'clock. I'll be live 15 minutes before, so. Monster Stuffey, yeah. Coffee-soaked ginger nut. I mean, I like my biscuits in my coffee, for sure. Like a nice cappuccino. Get that frothy milk on it, you know. Mwah. And a nice chocolate digestive. Lovely. But there we go, guys. That is it. We will be back for FP2. I'm going to make sure that I've got my nice transition sorted. And I'm going to make sure that this stream as well, the layout is a lot more better. Because my OCD was killing me there. But there's so much empty space and things aren't where they should be. So, yes, a bit of a freakish track layout here, which I cannot rotate. But we'll be back in a few hours' time, guys. Wherever you are in the world, go have a nap. Go have some food, breakfast, lunch, dinner, wherever you are. We'll be back in a few hours for the most representative session of the weekend, FP2. That'll be where we'll see a bit more of a pecking order. We know the McLarens are quickest. We know that pecking order already. But behind is intriguing. Who's going to fight out for that last position? Still yet to see the pace of the Red Bulls, truly. And no doubts some teams will pick up the pace. So, yeah, see you in a few hours' time, guys. Thank you for the subs, as always. And Jarvis for that. And for the Jarvis for the gifted and the new members as well and Bree members. So, yeah, we'll see you in a few hours' time. Bye. It's biscuit and coffee time. Yes.